Hey, welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. Every one of these videos is extremely important, not because I'm the one doing the video or that I'm the content creator, but because all the things that we talk about underpin the very mentality, the mental fabric that holds society together and shapes our perspective of what reality really is. And I got to tell you, most people are on the wrong track. The masses historically are generally wrong, and they're just not kind of wrong. They're way wrong, destructively wrong. In my last video, I asked you guys if you wanted me to go over the video by the troll channel who is adding and providing commentary to James Freeman's video where they're actually mocking James Freeman for what he's doing, and unwittingly, they step into his noose, into his psychological operations trap by saying that he is being arrogant, he is being narcissistic, he is being repulsive, and all he, James Freeman, is doing is saying what cops say to the rest of us on the daily. So inadvertently and unwittingly, as they condemn James Freeman, they are condemning the very cops, the thin blue line that they claim to love. And we are talking about bootlickers. Now, I want to start this video with this quote right here that I read under my last video. And I can't say this, I can't think of a way to articulate it any better. But Me Too Neo movement says, use AI to put a police uniform on James Freeman and then replay the video. I bet trolls would support him if they thought he was a cop. That is the crazy irony about this entire thing. The thing that James Freeman is doing is no different than what cops do all the time as a matter of policy, as a matter of procedure. They are constantly trampling our rights. So when you see a society who applauds this, and most in society applaud authoritarianism, that's why a lot of people are involved in politics. A lot of people support government. A lot of people are what we would call thin blue line bootlickers. That's the problem with society. The problem is the mentality of the masses. The second one that I wanted to show you before we get started in this video, and we're going to read the transcript from this troll channel who was adding commentary to James Freeman and sticking himself in the face with flypaper the entire way. Dastardly Darling says, it's ironic, funny, and sad when the people complaining about what he, James Freeman, is doing describe exactly what they worship. So on the one hand, they say he should be arrested for harassment. And on the other end, they say he's impersonating an officer. And they never stop to think, hey, the guy impersonating an officer, the guy doing what cops always do should be arrested for harassment. That is the grave irony that we're actually talking about here. And so what we're going to wrap up in this, and I'm going to show you the transcripts in a second, but I want to give you some excerpts of the video that we're talking about just in case you don't know what we're talking about. And even if you know what we're talking about and you're up to speed on this, I think it's important to play these snippets again, not just for entertainment purposes, because it is wildly hilarious, but also for the purposes of revealing the deep embedded cognitive dissonance every one of us has to one degree or then another, but the cognitive dissonance people have in saying James Freeman is acting narcissistic and psychopathic and that he should be locked up in jail when all he's doing is walking around with a clipboard asking questions that cops ask. It's really, really revealing. And it's no measure of good mental health to be considered well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And these people show continually that we live in a profoundly sick society. Let's look at a couple of these clips right here, and then we'll go over the transcript.
What's going on?
Just doing our investigation.
Okay.
We're not going to try to force cooperation like the police would do. No, we're not cops. We wouldn't get violent with anybody. I just want to make sure everyone here is safe.
That's my job.
It's right, and there's layers upon layers, and so this is all for your safety.
I'm not
And
answering.
cops constantly say that. This is for, hey, What I'm doing is for your safety. I'm cuffing you for your safety. I'm kicking down your door at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have the wrong address for your safety. I'm throwing you in the back of the cop car for your safety. I'm kidnapping you for your safety. I'm abusing my power for your safety. It's all about the safety of the people, and the safety of the people will always be the alibi and the excuse and the justification for tyrants.
Any more questions about anything?
Are you invoking your right to remain silent at this time, sir?
I'm not answering any questions about anything.
Okay.
How many more questions?
So really my biggest concern was the safe. How long have you worked for the department?
30 years.
30 years? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your current salary?
It's a gloves for.
It's just, it's policy.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever someone's uncooperative or doesn't tell me what I want to know, it's policy to put gloves on. I don't know. Again, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't question why we do the things we do. It's just policy.
Okay.
I don't write the rules. I just obey them. I know it seems like it makes no sense, but when you're being uncooperative, we got to put the gloves on. That's just our policy.
And you are being
I'm just doing my job.
And you are being quite uncooperative.
How am I being uncooperative?
Well, I need to know about the safe. That's what I was brought here to, what I was sent here to ask about.
Okay.
And both yourself and the folks over at the court are failing to cooperate with that investigation. So, again, it's just policy. When people don't cooperate,
I have policies too.
put on rubber gloves.
Okay.
So,
right.
are we detained then?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, we're detained.
It's a call for service. You're not free to go.
Oh, a call for service? What crime are we suspected of?
So right now, that's what we're going to talk to them.
What crime are we suspected of?
You're detained for investigation. Okay.
Investigation of what crime?
And not one troll channel will actually unearth this. Not one troll channel will call this for what it is. They will not say, yeah, on the one hand, James Freeman is right. He hasn't committed a crime. He hasn't victimized anyone. He hasn't threatened anyone. He hasn't stolen property. He hasn't damaged property and refused to pay for it. He wasn't causing a ruckus in a public place and causing a disturbance. He literally committed no crime. There's no reason for men with guns to have shown up. Not one troll channel will say that, because I believe that not one troll channel can say that. And the reason they can't say that is because they have this unwavering belief in the concept called authority, that other men have the right to boss you around, to detain you, to take away 100% of your rights because they got a call. That's why they can't do it. They are immersed in cognitive dissonance. Dissonance is disharmony. There's great disharmony within themselves. They've locked themselves in their own echo chamber. They are right in their own eyes. And this is the problem with society. We have neutered ourselves, mentally neutered ourselves to the point, and I'm talking about as a whole, to the point where we've shelved our critical thinking, and it's impossible, virtually impossible for us to crack open the door of our echo chamber and peek outside of our walls and see if there's another perspective that we might be missing.
Just hang out for me. Okay.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and out the door. No. Am I detained?
You're not free to
For
leave.
what crime?
You are not free to
For
leave.
what crime? What's your name? L-E-I-N-A?
Officer
Are you her?
You're not
Are
free
you a
to leave.
supervisor?
No.
But you're not free to leave.
What crime do you suspect me of?
Our supervisor right there, but you're not free to leave.
What crime do you suspect me of?
You're not free to leave.
What crime do you suspect me of?
So keep your voice down.
I don't have to keep my voice down.
You can be charged with disorderly, okay?
Do you know what disorderly is? Come on, I'm not new here.
Right,
This is my job. You understand that?
I understand. So
Okay.
just hang out for me.
No, I'm not. I don't need to hang out for you. Are you?
Now, I know that James Freeman engages in this psychological operation where he plays basically good investigator, bad investigator, and he's got bad things to say about these cops right here, but good things to say about Torres. And I think that's a good thing, because when you enter the realm where you've elevated yourself on a different level, they can't possibly be on, because they have no moral foundation. There's no moral compass. There's no principle and foundation by which they operate. James Freeman's coming up here and basically decimating them, getting them to tear themselves apart and expose themselves for what they really are. But Torres is still a bad cop. And I know he's saying that she's, hey, this is the only good cop you have in your force. But there's not one good cop in this room, because Torres should be sitting here going, she should be questioning her life choices. She should be wondering, maybe almost aloud. It should be intense. It should be burning inside of her, but it's not, because she's not there. She doesn't have principle by which she operates, and she threw her moral compass off out in the woods somewhere or in the river when she became a law enforcement agent. But what she should be thinking is, hey, he's right. Why are we suspending this guy's freedoms, which is what a detainment is. When a cop tells you you're detained, you are not free to go. All of your freedoms are gone out the window. If you don't have freedom of movement, you don't have freedom. And Torres should be going, she should be questioning this. Wait a second. He did ask a legitimate question here. We can only detain him if he has committed, if we suspect him of committing a crime. What crime do we suspect him of committing? And how can we reasonably articulate that crime? That's what Torres should be saying. But because she's not a good cop, she can't say that. She's not a good person in a uniform. Let's put it that way. And there's not one good person in uniform in this entire room. They never show up. They never arrive on the scene. And we see this time and time again in video after video. So don't give me this, there's only a few bad apples crap.
Hey, can we go, man?
No, you're not free to leave.
You need to stop.
I don't need to stop. I'm telling you what you need to do, and you're going to
What
listen
crime
to
do you
everything I
suspect
hear.
me of?
So we're free to talk to you after. We're going to talk to them. We're going to find out what they called the suit, okay?
So you don't know why you're here, but I'm detained?
You're here for a call for service. They called on you guys about being disorderly right now, so we're going to...
Do you know what disorderly is?
So I'm not answering your question.
So you suspect me of being disorderly. Is that what you're saying?
So we're investigating. You
Do you-
can't be detained for an investigation.
For investigation of a crime. You have
Okay,
to suspect me.
so-
Do you know what reasonable articulable suspicion is, boy?
Okay, I'm not doing.
Do you know what reasonable... you're not going down this route? What, the law? Obeying the law? You're not going down that route?
Well,
And James is giving them, he's actually being kind to them by giving them an out, giving them the lower threshold of RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion, because the higher standard is probable cause. You have to have probable cause that I have committed a crime, the cause that it gives you to detain me. That's what you need, officer. You can't just willy-nilly stop people out on the street or in public buildings because you got a call that somebody might be disturbing the peace or disorderly. You got to be able to articulate that and prove that that actually applies to me before you can exercise your authority.
We're just making sure that everything's good.
Am I free to go?
Now you are.
If-
You are free to
Now-
go.
Great. All right. I need your card. I need your card, and I need your card right now.
For sure. Okay, you can. I give you my name and badge number.
You know, I try not to file lawsuits. You understand,
you
young
can have
man?
my name and
But you're
badge
a
number.
dumb mother effer.
Okay, well you can.
You don't get to detain people. No, you can back up. No, you can back up.
Chill out.
If you would like to, any
Go
kind of
ahead. Sorry.
complaints.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Go ahead.
You're
Go
fine. I
ahead.
understand.
Go ahead, Nichols. Nicholson.
Yep, Nicholson. I understand that.
You're
Yes.
dismissed. Walk away.
I'm not
Sorry.
walking
Go ahead. He
No,
keeps
okay.
approaching me aggressively.
He's fine right here. You and I
Nicholson,
are talking.
we're not going to have any issues.
No, I know
Here,
that.
let me. We're fine. Right?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
I have no issue with you. I understand you guys are doing your investigation.
When's the last time you were deposed?
If you wouldn't
I'm
mind.
sorry. I'm sorry.
I understand.
Let me take some deep breaths. I get
I
really
appreciate
upset
it.
when people threaten violence upon me. I've
that's-
never threatened violence upon anyone in here.
No.
And when you tell me I'm detained and I try to walk out the door and you block my way, that's violence.
How about
And that's what the presence of every cop at all times is, especially when they're on a call or they've detained you. It's the implied threat of force and violence every moment they're in your presence.
There's no
Can you
other-
ask the violent man to leave so we can just have a
would
calm
you mind
talk?
taking one step back?
Out the door. Out the door.
Would you
I'm no
mind-
threat whatsoever.
I
Look,
understand that. I understand that.
ask the violent man to leave, please, so we can just be reasonable.
It's just you and I talk right now.
Okay, she can stay and you can stay. These two both detained
They're
me.
just-
They can go. She didn't detain me.
No, and so that's what you and I are just talking. You're free to leave at any point you want.
Okay.
I understand you wanted to talk, so
And let's have him leave. Please.
you mind just stepping outside?
Absolutely. I
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. So-
Him as well. He detained me as well. She can stay as backup. You already know I got no weapons. If I
appreciate that.
were going to hurt you, I'd hurt you. If
I
you were
got
going to hurt
no-
me, you'd
I
hurt
got
me.
no qualm
Okay,
about
cool.
you right
I'll
now,
even
okay?
sit down. How's that?
So what we have here is we have the video by James Freeman there was commentary added to it by this troll channel that shall remain nameless, because I really think that, upon further thought on this, This has to be a bad actor. He's either just doing this for clicks and views, which automatically makes him a bad actor because he's actually saying that James Freeman is a criminal when he's not. And you'll see some of the ad hominems he launches against James Freeman, and you'll see some of the slanderous accusations that he tries to pin on him when, in fact, the bad things that anybody is saying in commentary about James Freeman, since he's just taking the role, donning the role of saying what police officers say, he's actually saying that the cops are bad. They're narcissistic. They are the megalomaniacs here. And they don't even know it. So let me just show you what he says here. He says, so Grande Johnson, he's trying to imply that he has, I don't know why he said this right here. This is ridiculous to me, and I'm not interested in going over it, but he says, keep in mind that the person recording him is his daughter. So he's saying this nonsense in front of his kid. So what this troll channel, this owner of this troll channel is saying is that what James Freeman is saying is nonsense, even though what James Freeman is saying, not only to the cops, but also to the public employees, is just what a cop would say to you and I. So I agree. What James Freeman is saying is frickin' nonsense because he's just parroting what cops say to us. And this troll channel unwittingly falls into the trap. He's saying this nonsense, this cop stuff in front of kids. The guy is sick in the head, and also he might be overcompensating for something. If it's true, if that applies to James Freeman, then that also applies to cops who would say exactly what James Freeman said because James Freeman is saying what cops say. Keep in mind that he's impersonating DOGE. That's the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk Department of Government Efficiency. At no point, this is slander right here. At no point does James Freeman say, and hey, Troll Channel, if you're watching this, and I know you do, I know you watch my videos, prove that James Freeman says that he's come as a representative or that he is in any way a part of the Department of Government Efficiency. Prove that. You made the assertion. You need to prove it. Accusation without substantiation is definitely, always has been and always will be the height of ignorance. He's trying to appear like an official that's doing a real investigation. Meanwhile, he's just a criminal who if James Freeman is a criminal, Mr. Troll, who are his victims? Bring them forward. Who did James Freeman steal from? Whose property did he damage? Whose name did he malign? Who did he threaten? And if you can't produce a victim, then he's not a criminal. Now he's trying to intimidate these people by confusing them with his BS, which is cops BS. So he would have to say the same thing about cops, but because he's embroiled in and cemented in cognitive dissonance, this troll channel can't come to that conclusion. Honestly, we need to spread the word on this, and I'll talk about that a little later in the video. I agree. We need to spread this like wildfire. He says, this troll channel says, James has no true purpose. He has no power. That's exactly what he's trying to convey in his videos. James Freeman is trying to convey to you, you don't have more power than me. I don't have more power than you. Cops don't have more, and judges and lawyers and politicians don't have more power than us. Exactly. So James' message is coming through loud and clear, even to the people who own channels who hate James Freeman and what he did. This is masterful. He's not going to cut anybody's job. It's all a skit for YouTube, but at the same time, he's instilling fear in these people that they will lose their job. Same thing that cops do every day of the week. They are instilling fear in you. When the cherries and berries come on, when you did 3 miles an hour over the speed limit, it instills fear in you. And fear can be exploited, and people who are fearful can be manipulated, and cops know this. This troll channel says, you just want to bully these people into having them believe that they are under some type of threat of losing their job. Exactly. Message came through loud and clear. James, you did a great job. Psychological operation successful and complete. It has come full circle because even these people that hate you, James, are getting it. Yep, that's right. These cops are bullies. The way James Freeman was acting as a bully. Once again, this clown has zero authority. Amen. James Freeman doesn't have authority over anybody but James Freeman. Mr. Troll Channel doesn't have authority over anybody but Mr. Troll Channel. Cops don't have authority over anybody, not legitimately, and can accomplish nothing. Actually, it's accomplished a great deal, and you're admitting it by your words here. Now, I need your help. We need to spread the word as much as we can. By the way, this is a transcript. These are direct quotes from this troll channel. Of course, the places that he visits needs to be informed of what happened there, because sometimes it's hard to tell in the moment, but also I want to bring awareness on YouTube. So I'm going to make a series of shorts that are exposing this scumbag. He's a scumbag for revealing to the world that cops are bullies, that they're narcissists, that they're psychopaths, that they're troublemakers, that they're violent human beings. Look at this dumb arse putting on his gloves. He thinks he's hot Shiite. There you go. Again, mission accomplished. You could say that about every single cop that puts on their gloves when you don't comply with their authority. When you become uncooperative, they put on their gloves. He thinks he's a tough guy. Exactly. Cops think they're tough guys all day long. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to do Shiite, but the cops will. They're the violent ones. And later on in the video, he's going to be saying some pretty crazy things. Yes, he is. You know why? You know why they're crazy, Mr. Troll? They're crazy because James Freeman is saying what the authorities say to us all the time. Isn't that insane? That he has the right to defend himself against an arrest. You don't have the right to defend yourself against an advancing marauder. And he can send a police officer to heaven. Hey, Springer, stop being a drama queen. They didn't put handcuffs on you. They just said, hold on for a minute while they're investigating. That's not all they said. They said, you are detained. Freedoms are suspended. You are not free to travel. You are not free to leave this building. And if you try to leave, guess what happens 100% of the time? They'll pull their tasers, they'll pull their guns, they'll call for backup. If need be, they'll put the cruisers on the ground, the dogs on the ground, the helicopters in the air. Unfortunately, the supervisor came and screwed up everything, but you were not in handcuffs. So they say the cops messed up because they didn't lay hands on James Freeman and throw him into a cage. That's how sadistic this Mr. Troll guy is. And how sadistic anybody who's a thin blue line bootlicker, when they want a man to put hands on another man just because he's carrying a clipboard and is saying things that they don't like that make them feel uncomfortable. Clearly, James is trying to get his audience killed because he's saying that you can defend yourself when it's an unlawful arrest. But how are you supposed to tell if it's legal or a lawful arrest, an unlawful arrest on the side of the road during a traffic stop? You can't, especially when the frauditors have been putting all this poison in the lens licker's brains that they are going to think it's an unlawful arrest. Now, this lens lickers thing, I tend to agree. It's like, don't turn your mind off when you watch a James Freeman video. And James Freeman will tell you the same thing. Don't turn your mind off when you're watching one of my videos or Long Island Audits or Lackluster's videos. Always put critical thinking at the forefront of your brain. Always be on your guard. Somebody might be telling you a lie. Somebody might be trying to defraud you. It's up to you to determine what's truth and what is error. They're going to think it's an unlawful arrest. They're going to defend themselves and they're going to get themselves killed. Now, James Freeman does not do this because he says he has been unlawfully arrested multiple times and he never defends himself. Yeah, because it would be foolish in some cases. Now, there have been people who have defended themselves against clearly unlawful attempts by law enforcement officers to take somebody's rights away, but you better record everything. You better be able to prove to the judge that that cop entered your space for no freaking reason and you chose to defend yourself. And even if you get it on camera, do you think the court system is going to be for you? Do you think the black-robed judge, the tyrant, is going to be for you? Do you think the law enforcement agency is going to be for you? Do you think the police union is going to be for you? Do you think the lawyer, do you think the prosecuting attorney is going to be for you? In some cases, they do make decisions on the side of the person who got abused by the police officer. But in most cases, those cases are, the body cam's lost, redacted, footage is mysteriously evaporates, and then you can't prove it. If you don't record it yourself, and even if you do, it is dangerous to be right when the government is always wrong. This guy's a total phony, a total fraud. That is not only impersonating Doge. There he goes again. That's slander. He's not impersonating Doge. He's not impersonating a police officer. But the funny thing is that you think that he is, and you're still calling him a narcissistic psychopath. He's spreading dangerous misinformation. This guy is probably more dangerous than your average frauditor. And I'm not mincing words whatsoever. So what we have here on display is a perfect example, a classic example of somebody who is suffering from cognitive dissonance and cognitive decline, really. So if you want to look up things that correspond with this, you got the Stanford prison experiment where they investigated the effects of perceived power and authority on human behavior. And that experiment in particular provided an example of how social dynamics it shapes human thoughts and therefore human actions. People, when they get the ring of power, start acting a certain way that doesn't benefit humanity. Then you have the Ash conformity experiment, which shows that social pressures, even the lightest amount of social pressure, can get regular people to forsake clear and demonstrable truths in order to fit in with the crowd. And as we've learned, it's no good measure of good mental health to be considered well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. As a matter of fact, it can be argued and substantiated that it's easier to deceive the masses than to convince them that they've been deceived. So you've got the Stanford prison experiment, the Ash conformity experiment, the Stockholm syndrome, you got the Milgram experiment, and cognitive dissonance, all wrapped up in one nice, neat package presented to you by James Freeman. If you have a substantial argument against what James Freeman is doing, if you find that it's not at all instructive, but rather it's dangerous, and I don't disagree with the aspect of, hey, it's dangerous to do this to cops because they have delicate sensibilities. They have very fragile egos. And when those egos get bruised, the fangs and the claws come out, and you're pretty much in trouble. You're screwed. So leave your thoughts about this. This is the dynamic here. Is fascinating. The working parts, the psychological underpinnings that are being revealed and thrust out into the public through social media is just, it's too valuable to even comprehend. So leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. This is the Here's the Deal channel on YouTube. I go by High Impact Flicks on Facebook, High Impact Flicks on Twitter, which is now X, and High Impact Flicks Official on Rumble. Visit me on all those social media platforms if you want to support the channel. By the way, I'm going to leave all the links to James Freeman's videos in the description below. If you want to support this channel right here, the best thing you can do is free. Just like this video and share it with everybody you know, and leave a comment because it helps with the engagement. If you want to support the channel further, grab a shirt. We got shirts like no other, and become a channel member. And then join me in the fight for humanity, because that's what this is. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.